Hey everyone, Matron here. I wanted to do something special to celebrate the end of 2010, a year which gave us StarCraft 2. From the successful beta to the much anticipated launch and all the great MLG and GSL action, this year has been awesome for esports. I've gotten my hands on another clan war, this time two huge names, Root Gaming and Fnatic Gaming. Let's get started with game number 1 and I'll explain more about the format as we move on. Our first game here is going to be between Catz spawning as the red Zerg player, and his opponent for Fnatic Gaming will be the blue Protoss TT1. So we will be on Steps of War. It's a very small map, something that Catz is not going to like, as he does wish his opponent good luck, have fun. These two have played pretty often on this on Catz's stream and on the ladder, and they're actually good friends, practice partners. So it'll be interesting to see the builds which they try to go for to trick their opponent, as I'm sure that both players have seen each other's builds quite a bit. Looks like Catz going for a 7 pull here, so a very early pull and something a Zerg player may feel like he has to do on this Steps of War map. We do see the 9 pylon scout going out for TT1, so he's going to be able to see this spawning pool and perhaps prepare for it. Looks like Catz adding a few more drones. So not going for any sort of all-in here, but a very early pull there. And he'll definitely need to get up a Overlord if he wants to get some Zerglings out. Looks like he might actually be a little bit supply capped as this pool does spawn here. So a lot of times you'll see players have enough room under the cap there to produce 6 Zerglings right away. Catz will not. So it looks like he's going to do a double extractor trick now, so we will be able to produce those 6 Zerglings. Now canceling those extractors, going back to mining, so we will have a 6-pack of Zerglings on the way. TT1 getting a forge down in response to that early pool, so we'll see if that's going to be enough. He may have to put a cannon by this pylon here. Doesn't want the pylon or any of his probes to go down. These Zerglings are on their way. For Catz, looks like he's transitioning with an Overlord. So maybe adding more Zerglings as we go on here. TT1 placing a photon cannon in the middle of his mineral line. Good position there. Also a pylon in the back in case the first pylon does go down. The cannon will continue to be powered. And that also is going to cut off the back of the mineral line a little bit, so the Zerglings cannot get in. The Zerglings is going to come in and see this cannon, going to try to take it down, but TT1 positioning those probes so that they can do a little bit of offense against these Zerglings. Now it looks like the Zerglings will be able to take down this forge. The photon cannon a little bit out of range there, so Catz going to try to do as much damage as he can. TT1 pulling off probes to defend, but at this point I believe he's going to lose this forge. Catz can find a good angle here and get attacks on that forge. Another photon cannon going down right before the forge ends, and TT1 getting up a gateway and an assimilator as well. So Catz coming in, taking down that first forge. Placing these photon cannons was TT1, so not losing any of his probes there. See 21 harvesters to the 14 of Catz, and Catz getting his queen up. If you check out the army tab, just has these 4 Zerglings on the way, so going to be able to control the map right now with the Zerglings on the field. TT1 sending out a probe, so not really sure what this probe's going to be doing, possibly putting down a proxy, but these Zerglings will see that probe and going to try to take it down here. It looks like back in the base of Catz, he's getting up an extractor as well. And oh, he's taking the gold expansion. So you're going to try to get a hidden expansion, but TT1 bringing this probe over here. He's going to try to see that hatchery before he goes down. These Zerglings do not have speed. Catz did not have the extractor up very long, so he does not have any sort of gas to research speed quite yet. And TT1 going to try to hit this tower, and he's able... Looks like he did see that, so TT1 going to know that his opponent's going to try to go for a fast expand there. Catz being very risky with that early pool, and now this fast expand, not by his natural where it could be easily defended, but over here by the gold, and he saw that his opponent knows about it, and he's still going to keep warping in there. See Catz with these 4 Zerglings trying to get a surround on the Zealot, but the Zealot's so very good against Zerglings, and Catz at this point just sort of poking in, trying to get a little bit of scouting information, going to see these 2 extra gateways, and TT1 just working on warp gate tech, producing sentries and Zealots, throwing down a forward pylon at the top of his ramp here, and it looks like Catz doing a full-on transfer from his main over to this gold as soon as it comes up here. So going to have that very well saturated and going to shoot ahead in the income game. We see 29 harvesters to 21, but once Catz gets that up and going, gold's going to be very good for him. Looks like this sentry trying to get a force field down, but those Zerglings escaping there, and Catz having a good idea of what his opponent has for an army at this point. Looks like he's produced another set of Zerglings. So now coming in, we see 325 to 375 in the army tab. Going to try to get it run by. The sentry does not have enough energy for a force field, perhaps trying to bait another force field out of TT1. Looks like on the production tab we have a Baneling nest coming in for Catz, completing right now. So not often we see Banelings against Protoss unless they have a pylon wall off with a gateway at the top of the ramp. Then we sometimes see a Baneling bust, but usually don't see Banelings come into play all that much in this matchup. So a few Banelings being morphed in here by Catz, poking up with his now Speedlings. Gonna get a decent idea of TT1's army comp, and it's gonna be mostly sentries and zealots, so those are light units. They're gonna take extra damage from those Banelings. If he can get a good position on them, what he wants to try to do is get those Zerglings a good surround on all these units, prevent the movement so the Banelings can roll in there, doing a good job taking down that probe before it can get any sort of scouting information. Now positioning these Banelings in midfield, creating a few more here, and now going to try to get a surround with these Zerglings and the Banelings. Zerglings engaging a little bit too early, and the Banelings just staying close by that gold expansion. Want to try to protect both his main and that gold. If we check the income count, it is now 1100, close to 1200 compared to the 800 of TT1. But TT1 has quite the army at this point. Does now see those Banelings and throwing down a number of force fields. Going to try to pick off those Banelings. Banelings exploding on the Stalkers there, not doing a lot of damage. And the rest of the Banelings being taken down easily by those ranged units of TT1. And TT1 rocketing ahead here. If we check the army tab, it is 1575 to 400. A ton of Zerglings and Banelings on the way for Catz, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold off this push. It's a very powerful push. He's got a lot of force fields banked up in these sentries as well. So it looks like these Zerglings going to try to get a surround on the sentries and the Stalkers. Banelings rolling in here as well, going to try to get to those sentries to take them down, but Banelings just exploding on those Stalkers, not doing a ton of damage there. Catz doing his best to save some of these drones, pulling them back, but TT1 doing a good job focus firing those down. Then the Overlord not worrying about the hatchery too much. Great control on his part. A lot of times you'll attack move into the base here. Your units will attack that hatchery instead of focusing down the all-important drones, the Zerglings, and the Overlord. But TT1 has got a good hold, a good grasp on this game right now. Catz back in his base. Looks like he's got a number of Speedlings, more on the way, but his income really hurt. He had done a huge transfer over to that gold, and it looks like he's got some Banelings in the base of TT1. Going to try to do a run-by, take down the economy of his opponent here. And it looks like the pylon going to spot those Banelings, so the probe going to do its best to DPS down those Banelings. Banelings coming in against the cannon, able to take down the cannon and a number of probes there, but a lot of those probes were pathed away. Still 32 harvesters compared to the now 12. And TT1 pushing into the base of Catz, taking down the 1, the 2, the 3 Banelings there. Again, not doing very much damage. Good force fields, going to limit the surface area of those Stalkers. And Catz, the co-leader of Root Gaming, falling in this first game to TT1. So wow, went for the early pool there, the 7 pool, tried to get a bit of a Zergling rush going against his Protoss opponent, but TT1 scouted it out with that 9 pylon scout, threw down that forge, got good cannons placed in his mineral lines, really limited the damage those Zerglings could do. Then Catz, having to play from behind after that initial gamble, took the gold expansion there, and TT1, I'm not sure how he knew to scout at that point in the game, but he scouted it out, and he knew that was going to be the vulnerable position to attack. Catz tried to get up those Banelings, but was just never able to position them correctly, as TT1 had all those force fields and sentries, and did a great job controlling his opponent after the initial defense of the Zergling push. And Catz and Root Gaming going to drop this first game to Fnatic. TT1 taking this one. Go ahead and bring you game 2 of this one. If you're looking for this entire series, check out my channel Matron StarCraft at youtube.com. thanks for watching this one. Take care.